Hello everyone. How are you? Fine, thank you.
Oh my god!
Alright, hello everyone, it's Den, and in this video I'll be talking about my recent progress with Japanese, which I've done quite a bit through consuming a lot of like raw Japanese content. And when I say raw content, what I mean is like no subtitles, right? You just either reading or listening to a video, reading a book, reading a manga, anything basically in Japanese that is completely unfiltered. Oh, and by the way, before we get to the topic, if you're interested in getting a t-shirt like this, we have a red color and a black color. You can get one for yourself on my website. There's going to be a link in the description. All right, so let's get to our main topic. I think it's now been maybe a year, maybe a little less, that I've consumed Japanese content like all pure. There were some things that I watched with subtitles, but there were specific reasons that I needed to watch them with subtitles. But I mostly watched anime, YouTube, all that stuff without subtitles. Honestly, I can already feel a big improvement, and I feel like past a certain point, doing it this way is much more efficient, and I think I'm making more rapid progress because of it. I have been reading some manga. I read all of Orange, and I also read 4 volumes of Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, all in Japanese. Just, well, I still had to use a dictionary because I don't really like to gloss over confusing bits, and I look up basically everything that I don't know. And because I don't use Anki these days at all, that kind of works as a substitute for that. If I just encounter a word naturally and I either don't remember it 100% or I just don't know it at all, then I look it up and it works basically the same as an Anki review. And to me, that has been a lot more enjoyable. I don't know, maybe if I get back to German or if I study another language, I'll use Anki again. But for now, I'm enjoying studying Japanese without it. I don't look up words nearly as much when I watch stuff. So I've been watching some anime, some YouTube. I like watching this one channel. It's called Nichijou Kumi. And they just make like gaming videos on Minecraft, Garry's Mod, Animal Crossing now too. And yeah, they have quite a funny group of friends, and they record these videos, and I quite like watching them. I can't really understand that high of a percentage right now. I still like understand what's going on most of the time, but there's a lot of the visual aid there. There's been this series where they were playing Minecraft, and they're kind of role-playing like they're in a prison and they have to escape the prison. And there were a lot of details that I really missed, and it was hard to follow for me. Although then again, I kind of watched it as it was coming out. So I was watching one episode at a time, mostly. And because of that, I might have just forgotten some of the context that was there when I watched it before. Because context is really important when you're consuming foreign content, especially. Because imagine like, even in your native language, if you walk into a conversation, in the middle of that conversation, then you would be confused. You wouldn't know what's going on. Maybe if it's like a simple topic, you'd immediately be able to jump right into it. But a lot of the time, you'll need some context, right? And that is scaled up by a lot when you're talking about a foreign language. Because then, even if you know most of the words, you're like really confused about what they're talking about. And due to a lack of experience, it would be much harder for you to figure out the context of the situation because it's a foreign language. So yeah, context is very important. And perhaps part of the reason that it was hard for me to follow was because I was watching an episode at a time, so I was losing some of that context from previous episodes. But then yeah, I also watched some anime. I'm currently watching Toradora. I think the first one that I tried to watch without subtitles was Kaguya-sama wo Kokurasetai. That one was definitely not a good one to start off with. That was not the first anime that I watched raw, but that was when I started doing it regularly. And boy, that was so difficult because like they used a lot of this fancy language where the different characters are trying to like one-up each other, and they're kind of, I don't know, it's like a comedically tense situation. That was quite hard to follow. I had to rely on the visuals a lot. I think one mistake that I made was trying to watch specifically like slice of life, school kind of anime, because my thinking was just like, if it's a slice of life anime based on school, it's going to be much easier to understand. But honestly, it's kind of making it a little less enjoyable for me. I've watched a lot of them recently for that reason, and I think I'm going to stray away from that. I'm gonna try to watch some more anime that I'm actually really excited about, and I still have a lot on my list that I really want to watch, but just haven't really gotten around to watching quite yet. So I think it would be better to watch those in raw Japanese. Even if I don't understand a lot of it, it doesn't really matter, because you learn, you get better, and you understand more. And if you watch something that's enjoyable to you, you're probably going to want to do more of that, which is then going to lead to more studying or practice. I think that's what I'm going to try and do from now on. I've also been doing some reading. I stopped reading Kobayashi's Dragon Maid after finishing the 4th volume because I got this book, which is my first book in Japanese, Nejima Kidori Kuronikuru, which is by Haruki Murakami. And this book is honestly a little easier to read than I expected. I was thinking like, oh boy, I'm gonna find it so frustrating reading a Japanese book. It's gonna be a really tough time. I'll have to look up stuff all the time. And I do have to look up stuff a lot. If I had to guess, I would say maybe like 20 words in a page I have to look up, maybe 15, I don't know. But yeah, I don't have to look up as much as I expected to. And because I'm very OCD about reading specifically, I try to look up everything. I want to know every word, and as I said before, that's kind of how I do my reviews, right? I encounter more of the words, and as I keep looking them up, I'll be like, oh yeah, I've looked up this word before, it means this. So yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna keep doing that. I don't really see an issue with looking up every word. I don't quite do that when I read in English or in Russian, because I still have to look up words both in English and in Russian when I read books, because with books, it's just way more common to encounter new words, I feel like, because it is impossible for you to know every word in your language. Past a certain point, you get into the territory of how much do you know in the language versus how much of the language you know. And in the same way, there are a lot of things I could talk about in English that I can't really talk about in Russian. So I'm not really fussed about having to look up new words and having to do it a lot, because I know that as I read the book more and more, I'll have to look up fewer and fewer words. So yeah, to conclude, I've been quite happy with my progress recently. I think consuming raw content in Japanese has been great, and I definitely recommend it to anyone. If you're a complete beginner, then maybe that's not the best idea. It might be a bit discouraging, and it might be maybe a little bit wasteful in terms of your time. But perhaps you should start consuming raw content as early as reasonably possible. So maybe if you get to a level where you can understand basic grammar, you can understand like basic conversation. So I hope you guys can take away something useful from this video. I'm gonna keep practicing, keep trying to get better at Japanese. Also gonna study more kanji, because I only know about 1,500 kanji right now. And I'm going to Japan in a few months probably. Depends on when they reopen the country. But I definitely want to learn more kanji before then. Also, before you go, please consider supporting me on Patreon if you have the money and if you would like to support my channel. I'm really trying to work on more content for you guys. And yeah, I just want to take YouTube a little bit more seriously. And I'm actually working on a fairly big video right now about kanji. And it's getting closer and closer to being finished. I have the script done. I just need to record it and edit it together. And I also released a new track recently on my newly created Bandcamp account. It's pay what you want, so you can just get it for free if you would like to. And I would appreciate it if you guys checked it out. But yeah, that out of the way. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.